Wednesday War College. This is where we put the spotlight of truth upon the culture of death. And this is where we speak the truth to power and live without fear. I look at the programs here on VMPR. We're like a lighthouse amidst the gathering storm, and we're trying to redirect people away from the gates of hell. Yep, that's what we're doing. We're standing before the gates of hell, trying to redirect traffic. I want to talk about what happened in Mexico. Mexico voted in a Kamala Harris. Yep. Mexico voted in a Marxist communist as president of the United States. She's a female and she's a Jew, not even Catholic. Her name is Claudia Sheinbaum. She was inaugurated as the country's new president of Mexico, first female. And she's a candidate of the Marxist Party, which is called Let's Keep Making History. The party is actually called Morena, which is the National Regeneration Movement Labor Party. And so she assumed office on October 1st. Here's what's interesting. That just like her predecessor, President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, founder of the same party, that same communist party, Morena, he participated in a similar occult ceremony in 2018 at the beginning of his term as the head of Mexico's president. So I want Mr. Engineer, if you can play the short clip of Mexico's president now, Claudia Sheinbaum, as they are doing a ritual over her as she's receiving the office of president. Mr. Engineer, can you play the clip?
Dili chutashanahi kwasquilla kwasqueta dili yoska chindejo javi digo as indaibi
siempre esté contigo, que nuestra madrecita tierra te bendiga siempre, y les pedimos que venimos de los 4 rumbos, les pedimos
y que en estos momentos que bajamos la energía para que ella sea llena.
Another rigged election. I know somebody running for president in that election, Eduardo Verástegui. Boy, oh boy, he would have been a phenomenal president. But he told me that about 2 months before the elections, all the American social media, all the social media giants, except for X, they canceled him. So Eduardo Verástegui was not able to run a successful campaign because he had no social media the last 2 months before the election. They all canceled him except for X. Kyle, so let me ask you a question. You are the expert when it comes to spiritual warfare. You are Father Chad Ripperger's right-hand man. To me, that looked like a pagan ritual, a satanic ritual, an occult ritual. That was not some type of, I know Spanish, so some of the words there, they were invoking the 4 winds, the energies of the air, the spirits of the air. Kyle, am I making too much of this? Was that an occult ritual over the president?
It was. It was what's called a Dianic invocation. Dianic witchcraft is that witchcraft which is elemental. The elements, earth, wind, fire, water, the seasons, the suns, etc. And so this is a form of Dianic witchcraft. The same ritual was done over the president of El Salvador, Ortega. She is a practicing witch by her own admission. She invokes the Blessed Mother as the first feminist. So this is the world that we're in.
And Kyle, the president right before this one, Manuel López Obrador, he had the same ritual done to him as well. And he also said, before I leave office, he said, Mexico will be a communist country. And so they're moving it in that direction. We all know that communism is the preferred government of Satan. Comments, Kyle?
Well, you're precisely right. You can't get further from a theocracy. You can't get further from a monarchy. You can't get further from right ordered governance, remember that the central figure of governance is our Lord Jesus Christ, King of the universe. And that is precisely what this battle is about, is to deny any sovereignty of our Lord.
Yeah, as Catholics, the goal of the Catholic Church, of every individual Catholic, is to make Jesus Christ King of every human heart and King of every nation. Our job is to bring in the social reign of Christ the King, nothing less than that. And again, communism completely militates against the lordship and kingship of Jesus Christ. So again, as Catholics, we have a tall order. Kyle, the exorcist from Mexico says exactly what you just said right now. I'm reading Father Hugo Valdemar. Father Eduardo Jayen, exorcist of the Mexican Diocese of Ciudad Juarez. He published an article called Catholic and Pagan Rituals, in which he said that the ceremony done over the President Sheinbaum of Mexico was a witchcraft ritual. Exactly what you just said. Father Jayen then recalled that President Sheinbaum is of Jewish origin, and that if she allowed herself to be cleansed of bad vibes, it is rather for ideological and populist reasons than religious ones. Sheinbaum follows the same book of indigenism as her predecessor. The priest had warned that Catholics should not participate in ceremonies of this type. Claudia Sheinbaum did not participate in explicit and direct satanic worship. However, the worship of Satan can be carried out by believing through ignorance that idols, death, superstition, or unknown forces are being worshipped. The exorcist says there are groups that present themselves as non-satanic because they do not directly invoke demons, but rather present themselves as cultural indigenous groups. But in reality, they are satanic in the broad sense because they practice neo-pagan rites, such as the worship of Mother Earth, the Mother Goddess, Mother Nature, or Pachamama. Exactly what you just said, Kyle. Father Jayen, the exorcist from Ciudad Juarez, also recalled that Catholics should not believe that it's harmless to participate in certain pre-Hispanic rituals, such as those in which some Latin American presidents participate. The objects used in pagan rituals can become, according to this exorcist, binding objects that facilitate the extraordinary action of the devil on the person who uses them. And he said, superstition opens the door to demons. Anything you want to add to that, Kyle?
Well, you're precisely right, Jesse. In a larger sense, communism, the rule of the people, militates against direct governance of Christ. Again, this point. But we're seeing the same thing in the church, where the central figure, the vicar of Christ, is being replaced by governance of groups of people. And this goes all the way back to the creature seeking to govern against or without the creator. This is Luciferianism at its height. This is the one world government. This is a synodal church. This is communism.
Well said. You're listening to Wednesday War Call with Jesse Romero, Kyle Clement, talking about different spiritual warfare topics. We just talked about the immoral opera featuring a stripping nun before a crucifix. It's happening tomorrow in Hollywood. It's going to be shown tomorrow and the next day. And we're talking about the Jewish president of Mexico, just like the former president, two Marxist socialists. They've had pagan priestess ritually invoking Aztec deities. And we know that the gods of the Gentiles are demons in Psalm 95, verse 5. So by invoking an Aztec deity during an inauguration over a president, I don't know, Kyle, it seems to me as if they can take home a clinging spirit, or at least they can take home a watcher spirit. Am I onto something?
Well, you're onto something, but let's really focus in. They're not taking home a spirit. A spirit's taking them home. They're the lesser creature. They are the lesser operative. They are simply the dirt suit through whom this cosmic piece of trash operates.